The Young and the Restless spoilers. Thurdays full episodes update March 26, 2025. Victor Newman's world had always been a delicate dance of strategy, secrets, and calculated risks. Recently, however, a new element had been introduced, a twist that threatened to upend everything Victor had built over the years. As dusk fell over Genoa, Victor convened a discreet meeting with Lily Winters in his private office, a room shrouded in dark wood paneling and the steady hum of power. His eyes, ever piercing, met hers as he began to speak in a low, measured tone. "Lily, listen carefully," he said. "I've secured some valuable intelligence that will change the way we view our enemy. There's more to Aristotle Dumas than we ever imagined, and you're going to be our key in unraveling his secrets." Lily, whose reputation as a savvy investigator had earned her both admiration and suspicion, furrowed her brow. "What do you mean, Victor? What's the source of this intel?" Victor leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "The mustache. You heard of him, I'm sure. He's always been the wild card in our midst, a man of few words but many hidden truths. He's promised to provide you with more detailed information on Aristotle Dumas. And believe me, Lily, what you're about to learn will turn our plans on their head." His words were both a promise and a challenge, a dare for Lily to step deeper into a web of intrigue that would soon entangle more than just the lives of those in the Newman family. For Victor's plan was as audacious as it was perilous. He intended to use both Lily and her brother-in-law, Devon Winters, as bait to lure out his longtime adversary. This enemy was a ghost from his past, one whose identity and motives were cloaked in mystery. And though Victor's mind was already racing with strategies, his heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and dread. Across town, in a dimly lit lounge frequented by insiders and operatives alike, Nick Newman was busy sharing revelations that were causing ripples throughout Genoa. The chatter among his peers was electrifying. Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers, two women known more for their fierce rivalries than for any semblance of friendship, were destined for an unexpected union. Nick's words were filled with incredulity as he recounted what he had learned. "You won't believe it," he confided in a hushed tone, "but Young and the Restless has just dropped hints that Sharon and Phyllis are headed to a strange place. Not just geographically, but emotionally. They've both been through hell recently. Traumas from that kidnapping have left scars that run deep. And now, it seems, these wounds might finally start to heal if they find common ground." For years, the tumultuous relationship between Sharon and Phyllis had been marked by bitter rivalry and bitter mistrust. But the possibility that their shared suffering might forge an unlikely alliance was a storyline that fans had long craved. The prospect of two fierce women, each battling their own demons, finding solace and perhaps even friendship in each other's arms was as fascinating as it was unpredictable. Some even whispered that Phyllis, having endured so much after her harrowing rescue, might finally discover a measure of peace, a calm that had long eluded her. Meanwhile, in the convoluted world of inter-family affairs, another storm was gathering. The relentless secrets and lies that had long marred relationships were beginning to take their toll. The fractured bond between Sally and Adam Newman was a case in point, a relationship that had disintegrated under the weight of betrayal and miscommunication. Observers began to wonder if history might repeat itself with Sally and Billy Flynn. Billy, whose lineage was mired in controversy and whose actions were often shrouded in duplicity, was slowly distancing himself from the relationship with Sally. Rumors had swirled that their union was on the brink of collapse, a casualty of Billy's single-minded ambition and the toxic influence of his inherited legacy. Yet, as if the fates themselves were scripting a narrative full of twists, Aristotle Dumas re-emerged in the storyline. Not only was his name being invoked as a symbol of power and enigma, but it was now clear that his influence would reach into the lives of both Billy and Sally. For it was whispered that Aristotle's presence, whether as the man himself or as a specter of his legendary persona, would cast a long shadow over the tumultuous romance between Sally and Billy. Adding an unexpected layer of complexity was an even more tantalizing revelation. Billy Flynn was not merely a bystander in these unfolding events. No, he was the son of none other than Aristotle Dumas, the very man whose legacy had once sent shivers down Victor Newman's spine. This fact, still unknown to many and even to Victor, was a ticking time bomb. In the eyes of Genoa's power brokers, the idea that the scion of a notorious adversary was playing the game of high-stakes politics under his father's banner was both brilliant and horrifying. Billy's adoption of his father's persona wasn't just a matter of legacy, it was a calculated move designed to create chaos, to blur the lines between friend and foe, and to exploit the lingering fear that Aristotle's name inspired. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, another subtle yet significant shift began to occur in the dynamics of personal relationships. Over the past few weeks, an unexpected attraction had started to blossom between Billy and Phyllis Summers. Phyllis, ever the survivor, had found in Billy a charm that was hard to resist, a youthful energy that contrasted sharply with the relentless bitterness that had defined her recent past. Their burgeoning closeness had not gone unnoticed by those who were attuned to the undercurrents of Genoa's elite. And as Billy and Phyllis grew increasingly intimate, whispers began to circulate that perhaps this newfound alliance might be the key to sparking a fresh start for Sally as well, a chance for her to break free from a toxic cycle and discover a romance built on trust and respect. Yet, amid all these shifting alliances, one mystery loomed larger than the rest, the identity of Alain Laurent, also known as Martin Laurent, and his role as the puppet master behind many of the recent upheavals. Could it be that this enigmatic figure was orchestrating events from behind a veil of secrecy, pulling strings that had shattered alliances and pitted former lovers against one another? The very thought sent ripples of uncertainty through the ranks of Genoa's power players. Was it possible that the same man responsible for sowing discord between Sally and Adam might be behind the disintegration of Sally and Billy's fragile bond? And if so, what would it take for the truth to finally come to light? Victor Newman, meanwhile, was meticulously plotting his next move. His plan involved leveraging Lily and Devon Winters to coax his age-old enemy out of hiding. A move that would not only expose hidden truths about Aristotle Dumas but also set the stage for a confrontation that promised to be as dramatic as it was explosive. In a private moment, Victor had confided to Lily the following cryptic message: "Use your instincts, Lily. In every shadow, every whisper of deceit, lies the key to our enemy's downfall. Trust no one, and remember, the truth is often hidden in plain sight." His words, laced with both urgency and forewarning, left Lily with more questions than answers. For fans of the intricate web of intrigue, this statement was a tantalizing tease, one that hinted at revelations yet to come. As the night deepened and the city of Genoa slumbered, the stage was set for a convergence of old grudges and new alliances. The fate of the Newman family, intertwined with the legacies of Aristotle Dumas and the unpredictable maneuvers of Victor Newman, was poised on a knife's edge. Each character played their part in a grand, unfolding drama, where secrets, lies, and hidden identities danced in a dangerous ballet. Sharon and Phyllis, once bitter rivals, now teetered on the brink of a rapprochement born of shared trauma and unexpected empathy. Lily and Devon were unwitting pawns in Victor's elaborate scheme to flesh out his elusive enemy, while Billy Flynn, the son of a feared legend, maneuvered in a realm where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal was an ever-present risk. In the midst of all this, the ghost of Aristotle Dumas lingered, a reminder of a past that refused to be forgotten and a legacy that continued to shape the future. Was the true Aristotle still alive, waiting in the wings to reclaim his throne? Or was his influence merely the specter of a bygone era, now reborn in the blood and ambition of his progeny? Only time would tell. And for the citizens of Genoa, and the loyal fans of YNR, the answer promised to be a revelation that would reverberate through every corridor of power and every secret heart. Thus, in a city where every smile concealed a dagger and every alliance was as fragile as glass, the intricate game of power, love, and betrayal continued unabated. Victor's ominous instructions to Lily, the mysterious intel from the mustache, the shifting dynamics between Sharon and Phyllis, and the layered secrets surrounding Billy, Sally, and Aristotle coalesced into a narrative that was as compelling as it was dangerous. Every move, every whispered secret, and every hidden motive was a piece of a larger puzzle. One that, when solved, might just reveal that in Genoa, nothing is ever as it seems. For now, all eyes remained fixed on the unfolding drama. Fans braced themselves for a confrontation that promised to upend long-held alliances and challenge the very nature of loyalty and betrayal. And as the night gave way to a new dawn, one thing was certain: in the ruthless, ever-changing landscape of Genoa's elite, only those willing to sacrifice everything for the truth would survive the storm that was coming. In the shadowed corridors of Genoa, whispers about the elusive Aristotle Dumas had always circulated like ghost stories, tales so enigmatic that no one had ever seen his photograph, and no one could confirm his true age. Some believed that Aristotle was far younger than everyone presumed, while others speculated that he might already have a prodigious son ready to inherit his formidable legacy. The mere possibility of Aristotle Jr., a rising force destined to reshape the power dynamics in town, added yet another layer of mystery, especially since YNR was keeping silent about the new character that Billy Flynn was set to portray. Amid this swirling vortex of speculation, Sally remained ever vigilant. Ever the skeptic, she harbored a deep suspicion toward Aristotle's cryptic persona and the strange alliance that had formed between him and Billy. Determined to untangle the web of deceit and hidden agendas, Sally began to make her own predictions about the unfolding drama. With each passing day, she grew more convinced that the entire truth about the partnership between Billy and Aristotle would soon come to light, and she prepared herself to expose every secret, no matter how deeply buried. The tension was not confined to one storyline alone. In another corner of this intricate tapestry, the relationship between Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers had taken an unexpected turn. Traditionally cast as bitter rivals, the two women had, against all odds, grown extraordinarily close in recent times. Their bond, seemingly forged through shared hardship and mutual understanding, now suggested the possibility of an alliance that transcended their previous animosities. Yet, in a twist that only deepened the intrigue, Sharon's behavior had begun to deviate from her usual self. Observers noted that she appeared subdued and unusually distant, a stark contrast to the fierce and assertive persona that had long defined her. There were whispers that Sharon had been prescribed a new heart rate-slowing medication, intended to ease her chronic anxiety, but which might also be dampening her vibrant personality. Friends and confidants alike wondered, was this medicine responsible for the uncharacteristic passivity in her actions? The most baffling detail was that, while Nick Newman took it upon himself to check on Phyllis's well-being, Sharon, despite their long history of being each other's pillars of support, failed to offer even a suggestion to meet or care for Phyllis. This omission was as puzzling as it was disturbing, for it was well known that Sharon had always been the first to step in when Phyllis needed help. Phyllis, however, was not faring any better. Once a formidable and resilient presence, she now seemed adrift in a haze of confusion. In recent weeks, it appeared that the trauma of recent events had taken a devastating toll on her mental state. Friends described her as having lost her mind in the midst of the chaos, a heartbreaking transformation for someone who had endured so much yet had always remained the unyielding survivor. As the days in Genoa unfolded like the pages of a gripping novel, the convergence of these various storylines set the stage for a dramatic collision of secrets and alliances. Sally's relentless quest for the truth about Aristotle's true nature and the clandestine bond between Billy and Aristotle grew ever more pressing. In her mind, every silent conversation, every furtive glance, was a clue waiting to be deciphered. She was convinced that the alliance between Billy and Aristotle was not merely a strategic move against their mutual enemies, but a carefully constructed scheme that would upend everything she thought she knew about loyalty and betrayal. At the same time, the evolving dynamic between Sharon and Phyllis added an unpredictable layer of emotional complexity. The two women, bound by years of shared struggles and conflicting emotions, now found themselves at a crossroads. Sharon's apparent emotional withdrawal, possibly triggered by the side effects of her new medication, left many to speculate that her usual determination and fiery resolve were being subdued by forces beyond her control. Meanwhile, Phyllis's deteriorating mental state raised grave concerns among those who had long depended on her strength, leaving the community to wonder if her inner demons were finally overpowering her once indomitable will. Back at the heart of the power struggle, the mystery of Aristotle Dumas continued to loom large. No one had ever managed to capture a definitive image of him, and his age remained a matter of heated debate. Some argued that his true vitality and brilliance were hidden behind the facade of an older, seasoned adversary, while others suspected that the real powerhouse might be a new generation, a potential Aristotle Jr., who would soon step onto the stage. The deliberate secrecy maintained by the producers of YNR regarding Billy Flynn's upcoming role only added to the anticipation. Fans and insiders alike were left to speculate whether the man that Billy embodied was a complete reinvention, or simply a mask for a legacy that refused to fade away. Sally, ever the keen observer, had already begun to voice her theories. She predicted that the veil of secrecy surrounding Aristotle would eventually be lifted, revealing a tangled network of loyalties and betrayals that linked him directly to Billy's mysterious past. In her eyes, the alliance between Billy and Aristotle was a ticking time bomb, a confluence of ambition, legacy, and hidden vendettas that would soon trigger an explosion of revelations. As she meticulously pieced together fragments of overheard conversations and suspicious encounters, Sally was convinced that she would soon unearth the entire truth about their unholy union, exposing a scheme that had been in the making long before anyone had suspected. In the midst of these personal and political intrigues, a larger narrative was taking shape, a narrative that intertwined the fates of families, long-standing enemies, and the enigmatic forces that governed Genoa's underbelly. The looming arrival of Aristotle Jr., the potential successor to a legend whose true identity had been shrouded in mystery for so long, promised to be the catalyst that would tip the balance of power. His arrival would not only challenge the old guard but would also force those like Victor Newman and Michael to re-evaluate the strength of their alliances and the legitimacy of their dominion. As the drama intensified, every character found themselves caught in a web of secrets and half-truths. Sharon's uncharacteristic silence, her reluctance to check on Phyllis despite the latter's apparent unraveling, became a subject of intense speculation. Had the medication dulled her natural instincts, or was there something far more sinister at play? Perhaps Sharon was concealing her true feelings, or maybe the bond she once cherished with Phyllis was transforming under the weight of recent events. The silence between them spoke volumes? A silent conversation filled with unspoken fears, regrets, and the painful recognition that even the strongest of friendships could be strained by the relentless pressures of a world ruled by ambition and deceit. For the residents of Genoa and the ardent fans of YNR, the coming weeks promised to be a period of unprecedented revelations. The stage was set for a spectacular collision of past and present, where old legacies would be reawakened, new alliances would be tested, and the true nature of power would be brought to light. Sally's determination to uncover the truth about Aristotle and the alliance he shared with Billy was just the beginning of what would be a riveting exploration of loyalty, betrayal, and the enduring quest for identity. In this unfolding drama, every secret revealed, every alliance questioned, and every character's true motives would serve as a stepping stone toward an explosive climax, one that would forever alter the landscape of Genoa. And as the mystery deepened, the one certainty that remained was that in the labyrinth of power, trust was a rare and dangerous commodity, and the truth, however elusive, would eventually find its way into the light.